So I have a quick video, 5-minute video that I want to share with you guys on the history of Christopher Columbus. And then after the quick video, I have a few questions to probe you guys to get some conversation started. So, initial reactions and thoughts that you guys have to that quick video. And anybody could start.
Start with any thoughts and reactions.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from that. I mean, I knew that the whole Christopher Columbus story was like a lie, but I didn't know exactly how. So that was really clarifying, especially like right off the rip. I didn't know that people in that time already knew that the earth was spherical. So that's kind of funny because that's a lot of like the hype that he gets.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely was like, when I first watched the video, I definitely knew, like, obviously we have this false perception of him like discovering America, but I thought it was just, just the line of him thinking that he was there first and that they were natives. I didn't know that he never actually made it to America. So that was different for me.
What's interesting is that Columbus never actually left the boat. He just stayed on it the whole time, and he was cruising around killing people.
Yeah. That's crazy. Anybody else?
Well, personally, like being Puerto Rican and like when he talked about the Taínos and like wiping all of us out, like for me, like at least in PR, like the way they taught about Christopher Columbus was definitely like more truthful than like when I got here. Like they would always paint him as like, he discovered like the Americas and all this stuff, and like I was always like kind of annoyed by that sentiment. And like Christopher Columbus Day, like I always like, why are we celebrating a terrorist? Like he literally committed it's like the equivalent, like for white people it would be like Hitler, like celebrating like and having a Hitler Day, like so I feel like I wish they kind of like said that in the video, but I really liked how informative it was, I guess, for people that might have not known all those facts.
Yeah, I liked how informative it was too. And I also liked the way that this video presented the facts and the knowledge. Like it wasn't one of those like boring history videos that we all watched in high school. It was like something we could relate to as a cartoon. Like I loved the video.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that it was very like, it was short and sweet, but also like captured everything all together. That's why I thought it was pretty cool. Is there anything else like presented in the video that you may have not known that surprised you? Or
just to quickly go off of what Nani said, yeah, in Puerto Rico they talk a lot more about the Taino people and like the Taina goddess and like all of that stuff is like common knowledge, but here you'd learn nothing about it, and most people wouldn't even know of that that group of indigenous peoples. So.
Hello, you guys hear me?
What's up, Yancy?
Yeah, I feel like here in America, I feel like they just don't want us to know. So it's a good thing that we know now, so we could help educate the next generations that come, so they can know too. So they're not fooled, like we were. Now we know.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's kind of like there's a lot of things that it's crazy to think like, we've been going through school for all these years, and then it's like now like towards like maybe the beginning or the end of our college careers, like we're finding out all these facts about this place that we live in that like were never presented to us before. But yeah, is there anything else that you guys, any other initial thoughts?
Well, I do have something to say because like going off what you've said, like I feel like this along with like I guess an equivalent would be like kind of like African American history, and like most leaders that they talk about are like MLK and like Malcolm X and like and then Harriet Tubman, but like they forget about like Fred Hampton and like all these other people that like did a lot, or like Louis Farrakhan. Like they go over and they skim over all these things. And I feel like in the video, I wish that they talked about Bartolomé de las Casas, who, in case you guys didn't know, he was one of like the people in the 16th century from Spain that was against slavery and was against colonization. And like for me, like we learned about that in PR all the time, because he was like an activist in the 16th century. Like he could have gotten killed and all these things, and he was a priest, like a Catholic priest. So that made it even more like shocking. So I feel like there's also like some highlights that I wish the video covered. Like instead of having a Columbus Day, who he was in charge of killing all these people and like traumatizing us and like enslaving us, stealing our silver, our gold, our copper, literally all of our resources, and exploiting us. Like, why not have a Bartolomé de las Casas Day, you know, someone that wanted to liberate us and was like against all these things. But yeah.
Anybody else? All right, word. Next question I have is, why is it important to acknowledge and celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day? Why do you think so? Can you repeat the question? Oh, okay.
I just feel like I talk a lot.
No,
That's
it's all
why
good.
I didn't want to speak.
Conversation.
Yeah, I feel you, but personally I feel like it's very important. I feel like one day is not enough. I definitely like I critique a lot of like, you know, Spanish Heritage Month. I critique African American or Black History Month, sorry. And it's all because like, why do we only get a month, like instead of just integrating it into our schools and our curriculum, so then every day we can appreciate all those things, not just a specific month and a day. Like this is the only time we learn about the truth about Christopher Columbus. Like we should have learned this when we were smaller, so that we don't have to be only reminded of this around this time of the year. And the same thing with Black history. Like we only talk about MLK when it's February. Like that's a problem with me. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think it's important in that way because, especially since it's so newly celebrated as Indigenous Peoples Day, a lot of people still don't really know that, you know, people are celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day in place of, instead of Columbus Day. So now when I tell people, like I have like all this week, like, oh, remember, like we have the long weekend, Monday is Indigenous Peoples Day. I've had a couple people be like, Indigenous Peoples Day, and I'm like, you know, instead of Columbus Day, and then you can start informing. So I think it's just important, even in that sense, to just like let everyone know and get that going, because a lot of states are making the official change.
Yeah, I wanna jump off that too, Alanis. I also see too, they sort of like do both on like calendars that I've seen. Like they'll put Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. It still kind of makes me feel weird, because I feel like if we're gonna talk about one, then we have to acknowledge that one isn't, you know, the truth, and like get rid of it essentially. So yeah, what do you guys think about that too? I don't know if that's really important to y'all.
I agree with you 100%. I'm actually in Brockton right now, and it's majority like Black Latinos here. And even the school says Columbus Day, Monday, October 12th. And it's like, what? Like, you're just gonna slap everyone in the face like that. Like, I didn't know that it was still like a thing here. Like, I really, like, I don't know. I have no words.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah, like I was just saying, like I feel you 100%. Like I know what you mean. I was just the way I see it is like it's wrong. I just enjoy the fact that we could have the day off. It's fucked up, like, cause what he did, but at least we have that day to, like, you know what I'm saying, relax, mourn, and just get stuff done.
But I don't think people like mourn or like do it properly. Like
No, exactly.
Like on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, do a lot of people just go out and like be activists in the Black community?
Right,
Like maybe
exactly.
some do, or like Veterans Day. I don't think a lot of people like put flags on the cemeteries and stuff like they used to. Like some people like with Jancy, like it's just a vacation, but for other people it's like an actual thing
Feeling,
to live
yeah.
by. Like there's a reason for this holiday, and they have to be
Exactly.
activists for it.
Back.
Yeah, so hopefully with the transition to Indigenous Peoples Day, it becomes more common to like educate and just learn, because I remember last year on Indigenous Peoples Day, all of us, for the most part, went to the Indigenous Peoples Day celebration that was here. And I'm really glad I spent the day that way, but at least we were spending our Columbus days doing nothing and relaxing, you know? That's, I guess in retrospect, not too bad.
I think my only problem is just calling it like Christopher Columbus Day, and like not even just the day, but the fact that there's still statues up commemorating. I mean, he's not the only statue. Like there's a lot of problematic statues that are up of like slave owners or people that were pro eugenics and other things, but like we're talking about a person that literally exploited millions of people and like was responsible for like genocide. And like I bring up Hitler a lot because that's what white people, like that's the worst thing that's happened to white people, was those 10 years of like Hitler's reign in Germany. And like for me, like Christopher Columbus was 1,000 times worse because it impacted more people. And like, but people don't see it that way. And it's like a slap, like a huge slap in the face, like to see like, not only do you get a pay day off, like it's a national holiday, so you also get paid if you work in a bank, or you get paid if you're extra, if you're a postal service for working this day. And it's like, we have a whole day to celebrate a terrorist, like, because there's no other way to describe the acts that he committed. Like it was terrorism. And I think that's the biggest problem. Like it's a day off, like Labor Day. Like who really knows what Labor Day means? Like I still don't know, because people work that day. So like, but like Christopher Columbus is a name that everyone knows, and there's legit people that teach that he did something good. But I can't name one good thing that he did.
Yeah, I agree. We're definitely all like pretty misinformed on that. And I think there's just like a different perception on, the history of like, how you said, like when you mentioned Hitler and like in his reign and versus like, the genocide that Columbus had done, and just other like, awful things that have happened in like the world, and how I feel like there are other figures who we like know and we like acknowledge them as like bad people. And I feel like there's still like this like gray area where people are like, well, Christopher Columbus did this and he wasn't. And it's like, I feel like it's important to recognize that, because it's like, no, that's not the case. There are people who were affected, and the only way we can progress is acknowledging like those things that in the past that didn't happen. So.
Like I think the biggest like what's it called example is like how sometimes people like to say we need to get over slavery because it happened so long ago. Meanwhile, we still have not only the generational trauma from it, but we're still reaping the repercussions of like slavery. Like we're still in it.
Yeah,
and that's like the biggest assimilation. I feel like Hitler and the Holocaust is such a big deal because there were white people that died. But because it's us, it's brown people, it's Latinos, it's Black people enslaved, we need to get over it. But you guys have Holocaust museums that commemorate all these lives lost, which is great, books, documentaries. But have you guys ever seen like a Taino documentary talking about Christopher? No, right? You guys don't see about activists, like I just said, Bartolomé de las Casas. I bet a lot of you didn't even know who that was. And that's a problem. Like, that's what I'm talking, like, but you know who Hitler is. And then you know that United States was apparently the good guy. And you know what I mean? Like, those are just things that just get overlooked.
No,
into the side.
exactly. And we learned so much about it in like middle school. They make us read these awful books about the Holocaust, and the whole American mindset when they do that is like, we're gonna scar these children and teach them all these scary things so it won't happen again. That's what they say. That's what they tell you when you're however years old learning about it. And then you think, oh, but we're not teaching about these things, so they don't happen again. So yeah, you're totally right about that double standard, Nani.
Sorry, I didn't even realize I was muted. Yeah, so if there aren't any other final thoughts or comments, or even if a question if you guys have, um, that's just about it. That's all I have for you guys. Any other last words?
Cheers. I already know. Have a good rest of the day, guys. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, appreciate you guys for coming through.
Already.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you.
All
Thanks,
day.
guys. Awesome discussion.
Have a good one, y'all.
Bye.